My mom hid a $50K inheritance from me. Because I didn't deserve it, I grew up thinking my mom and I were close. She raised me as a single parent, working 3 jobs just to keep everything together, and even with all that effort, she somehow always found time to remind me that I wasn't good enough. I'm 27 now, and she's 52, but the comments still echo in my head. You'll never stick with anything. You're too soft for the real world. Why can't you be more like your cousin? At first, it was subtle, and I kept telling myself she meant well. Maybe it was tough love. Maybe she just didn't want me to repeat her mistakes. But deep down, something in me always wondered whether she actually enjoyed cutting me down. Last month, everything shifted. I was cleaning out my dad's old safe deposit box. He passed away when I was 10, and going through his things has always been a quiet ritual for me. Old letters, memorabilia, and the small savings he left behind. This time, tucked in the back of the box, I found a manila envelope with my name written on it. My heart picked up a bit as I opened it, but I was not prepared for what was inside. Bank statements, an account balance of $50,000. I stared at the numbers, convinced I was misreading something. No one had ever told me I had any kind of inheritance waiting for me. My dad wasn't wealthy, but he must have worked hard to save something for me. And somehow I never knew. I called my mom immediately. "Mom," I said, trying to sound casual even though my mind was racing. "Do you know anything about a $50,000 inheritance in my name?" Her laugh didn't sound normal. It was tight, forced. "Oh, that's nothing, honey. It's not for you to touch yet." My whole body went still. "What do you mean, not for me to touch yet?" She sighed the same way she used to when I was a kid, asking too many questions. "You're not responsible enough. I worked hard managing that money and I can't just hand it over. You don't deserve it." I felt the envelope slip from my hands. For a second, I forgot how to breathe. My own mother had just told me, point blank, that I didn't deserve my own inheritance. The next day, I dug deeper through old records and documents. Every deposit from my father, every dividend, every interest payment, all meticulously tracked, but never once disclosed to me. And worse, some years there were withdrawals that had nothing to do with me. Trips she took, shopping sprees, things she had labeled as emergencies. For 17 years, my mother had been draining my inheritance without ever telling me it existed. That evening, I confronted her. She was sitting on the couch reading a book like absolutely nothing was wrong. I set the printed bank statements down on the coffee table in front of her. "Explain this." She glanced down, her face barely changing. "Oh, that's for emergencies. You don't understand finances, honey. I'm protecting you." "Protecting me? You've been taking my money for almost 2 decades and telling me I don't deserve it. That's not protection, that's theft." She shook her head like I was overreacting. "You'll never see it my way. You're too emotional. You don't deserve this yet." That was it. I grabbed my coat. "I'm taking this to a lawyer." She laughed, but the sound was flat. "Good luck, honey. Lawyers are expensive, and don't forget, your inheritance isn't really yours yet." I walked out and didn't go back home for days. I stayed with a friend and spent the nights wide awake, replaying memories I'd buried. Every subtle insult, every time she compared me to someone else, every moment she made me feel like I would never be enough. And now I realized why. She wanted all the control of me, of my confidence, of the money my dad left for my future. After a couple days of sitting with all that anger and sadness, I hired a lawyer. A sharp, no-nonsense woman who looked through everything and immediately said, "We're suing." My mother's lawyer tried to argue that she had acted as my guardian and had full discretion over the funds. But my lawyer wasn't having it. Emails, statements, text messages. We had proof she had knowingly withheld information and used the money for her own personal expenses. We went to mediation. My mom refused to show up at first, claiming it was too emotionally taxing. My lawyer just shook her head and said, "You've been emotionally taxing your son for 27 years. I think you can handle an hour." When she finally came in, she broke. Tears, shaking voice, the whole thing. "I just wanted to protect you," she said. "I didn't think you would be able to handle it. I didn't want you to waste it like your father did." I looked at her, and for a moment I didn't even have words. This wasn't about wasting money. This was about respect, about honesty, about treating your child like a human being. I told her everything I had carried for years, the resentment, the humiliation, the way her words had shaped my entire adulthood, how her control seeped into my confidence, my relationships, my decisions. She whispered, "I didn't realize." "It's too late for that," I said. "I need the money, I need control over it, and I need you to acknowledge what you did." After weeks of going back and forth, she agreed to a settlement. I got full access to the $50,000 plus interest. She also had to write a formal apology, admitting she withheld and mishandled the funds intentionally. At that point, it wasn't about the money anymore. It was about finally reclaiming my life. I moved the money into my own account. I invested it responsibly, my first real step toward financial independence. I bought my first car outright, something she always swore I'd never be able to afford. I got my own apartment. I started making choices without second-guessing myself through her voice in my head. Months later, she texted asking if we could talk and heal. I sent one message back. "We can talk when you respect me as your son, not as a bank account." She hasn't reached out since. Now, I'm saving for a small trip I've always wanted to take. Just me. No guilt, no pressure, no one hovering and telling me I'm not enough. I've been journaling every night too, writing down what I accomplish each day, the decisions I make on my own, the ways I'm growing. For the first time in my life, I feel like I'm building something solid, something that belongs entirely to me. And I sleep better, because for the first time, I'm not living under someone else's control. If this whole experience taught me anything, it's that sometimes the people closest to you can be the biggest obstacles in your life. And sometimes, the money isn't the issue. The respect is. The validation. The freedom to be who you are without someone telling you you'll never be enough. I keep the envelope from the safe deposit box on my shelf, not as a symbol of what she took, but of what I survived, what I reclaimed, my voice, my independence, my worth. Because if there's one thing I've learned, it's this. You don't need validation from anyone, not even a parent. You only need the courage to claim what's yours, stand up for yourself, and say, "I am worth it."